A very good morning to you and welcome to Daybreak Live on Dominion Television, your trusted companion for fresh insights, top headlines and thoughtful conversations to start your day right.
It's Wednesday, the 4th of June, 2025, and we're so glad you've joined us. B. Dickinson.
And I am Pat Aito. As always, we bring you the biggest stories shaping our world today with the analysis and clarity you have come to expect.
Coming up this morning is Daybreak News. Bring you the top stories making waves across the nation and beyond. Newspaper front page and analysis takes a closer look at how the media is capturing the day's major headlines. The big story today dives into a critical issue, the consequences of losing the best hands in an establishment. What does it mean for productivity, stability, and long-term growth? We've got experts weighing in.
We also got the latest in sports scores, highlights, and what is ahead in the world of athletics. And don't miss Trend Watch, what is buzzing online, what people are talking about, and the stories going viral this morning.
So grab your coffee, settle in, and let's dive into another energizing edition of Daybreak Live. You're watching Dominion Television, informed, inspired, empowered.
So let's get started. Good morning, Abby.
Good morning, Pat. How are you?
I'm fine.
I'm fine. So we're hearing about automatic tickets given to National Assembly members come 2027. But the APC has come to debunk and say there's nothing like that. The Chief Publicity Secretary, General Publicity Secretary, that's Felix Moka, actually said he doesn't know where the story is emanating from. There's nothing like that. In some other news, like newspapers, they even specifically mention names like Godswill Akpabio, Abbas, and the others, that there's nothing like automatic tickets. But I'm thinking, do you think they won't look at this? Maybe they'll give it a look. But haven't they been having tickets like that? Automatic.
They have. So it's not new. I'm sure there, for you to say there are fake news, a little of rumors might be tantamount to a true of what is going to happen come 2027. And I think for somebody to come out to say, oh, we are not going to do this, that means there are speculations that might be true. And if that is not nipping the bud right now, there might be crisis come 2027.
Even if whether it's fake or not, if it's going to be automatic, it will still be. Maybe it's just a way to say something. Now, I'll just read the press statement released yesterday, Tuesday, yes, by the National Publicity Secretary, Felix Moka. It said the APC urged party members and the public to disregard what it described as a purported breaking news report falsely attributed to the party. According to it, it said the report is fake news and should be disregarded in its entirety as it did not emanate from our great party.
That's Moka saying that. And it went further to warn that the viral claim is of mischievous origin and intended to mislead the public and disrupt internal party processes.
Okay. It stressed that the official party decisions will be communicated through verified channels. But are they going to tell us?
We'll still hear from the papers.
Are they going to tell us that, oh, yes, we have given automatic tickets? I doubt that.
I think for that, for you to give an automatic ticket to someone, that means that person must have done well. I mean, that senator must have done well in his constituency before you could say, oh, and it is not even you, but the people he govern.
Well, most of them
or from the people from his constituency must be the one to say, oh, yes, we want this person to go and go again. And not the party to just say, oh, yes, because you have been faithful to the party, so we're giving you the automatic ticket, just like that.
Like I always say, unfortunately, this is Nigeria, where when we talk of things like this...
When are we going to get it right?
Anything goes, because if we look at that, what if that position is unopposed for some reasons best known to them, and the person comes in? I mean, look at the recent defections, happening from other parties, or should we just say PDP to APC? If you look at the House, the Senate has how many? I think 109 members, and about 68 APC members, yes, APC members,
okay.
yes, of the Senate. And if you look at 360 of the House of Representatives, the APC has about 109 already.
Yeah.
So it's looking in that direction. Like, are you sure these people are not going to take back that seat? It won't be a new thing if they have automatic ticket. I don't think it will be new, because when it comes to things like politics, a lot of things are not new anymore.
There's no friend, there's no permanent friend, there's no permanent enemy
in politics. Okay. All right. So that's it for this morning on a little talk here. You have something else to say?
Well, I'm saying you look beautiful.
Okay, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. All right, moving on. We'll be going for Daybreak News this Wednesday morning, giving you updates on what's happening in the media space, and Pat will be doing justice to Daybreak News. You're still watching Daybreak Live, reaching you from Dominion Television in Ibadan. Don't forget, we're on YouTube. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels and Facebook, TikTok, Instagram at Dominion Broadcast, and on X, formerly Twitter, at Dominion Cast. We'll be right back. The show's just getting started.
A very good morning to you. Welcome to Daybreak News on Dominion Television. I am Pat Aito. The federal government has commenced the payment of 44,000 naira minimum wage rise to former members of the National Youth Service Corps (NYSC). The commencement of the payment fulfills an earlier promise tied to the recent upward review of Corps members' monthly allowance from 33,000 naira to 77,000 naira. The payment applies to those who completed the service before the new allowance took effect earlier this year. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tugar, has announced Nigeria's readiness to host the West African Economic Summit from the 20th to the 21st of June 2025 at the Abuja International Conference Center. In a statement released, Tugar said the summit will serve as a strategic platform for shaping the region's economic future. He said the summit of the 2025 will convene heads of state, ministers, private sector leaders, development partners, and youth innovators from across West Africa and beyond. The Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation, Professor Joseph Utsev, has stated that the devastating flood in Mokwa, Niger State on the 29th of May 2025 was not triggered by the release of water from the Kanji Ojeba dams. Speaking at a press briefing at the ministry's headquarters in Abuja, Utsev assured that the public that both dams remain intact and safe, debunking widespread speculation linking them to the disaster, which claimed lives and displaced many residents. Professor Utsev praised the rapid intervention by the Niger State government, local authorities, and emergency responders, and extended the federal government's condolences and support to the affected communities. A yet-to-be-identified man has fallen from one of the top floors of the iconic Cocoa House building in Dugbe, Ibadan, the Oyo State capital. The sad incident has sparked confusion and concerns among commuters and business operators within Ibadan. In a statement given by Odua's Investment Company Limited, the firm managing Cocoa House and head of branding and communication confirmed the incident that took place. Away from there to Lagos State, where Lagos State government has announced that anyone caught dumping refuse illegally or littering public spaces will pay a fine of 250,000 naira or spend up to 3 months in prison. The State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, made the announcement during the press briefing, warning that serial offenders will face even stiffer punishment. Wahab also lamented the actions of developers dumping building materials on drains or roads, stressing that such sites will be sealed up and owners prosecuted. Now to Ondo State, the Deputy Speaker of Ondo State House of Assembly, Abayomi Akinruntan, has resigned his position, citing the need to align with the conventional arrangement of elected position in the state. The resignation letter of the former Deputy Speaker representing Elijah Constituency 1 was read at the floor of the House by the clerk, Benjamin Jayeola. Following Akinruntan's resignation, the lawmaker representing Okwitukpukpa Constituency 2, Ololade Begude, was nominated and subsequently sworn in as the Deputy Speaker, with the pledge that he will serve his new role with due diligence. Similarly, the majority leader of the Assembly, Oluwole Ogunmolashuye, also stepped down from his position, with the lawmaker representing Ose Constituency, Olatunji Oshate, announced as the new majority leader. The appeal panel on local government election petitions for Borno State, sitting at the Nigerian Bar Association House in Abuja, has upheld the elections of the 23 local government chairmen under the All Progressives Congress APC, delivering a decisive victory to Governor Isant Elia and the ruling party. The verdict overturned the earlier decision by the local government election petition tribunals, which had nullified APC victories in 9 local councils following the October 2024 elections conducted by the Borno State Independent Electoral Commission. However, the appellate panel dismissed the petition filed primarily by the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and other opposition groups, citing lack of merit and insufficient evidence of non-compliance with electoral laws. And in business, the presidency has begun internal approval processes to resolve the 2 trillion naira legacy debt owed to electricity generation companies before the end of the coming quarter as part of effort to stabilize Nigeria's power sector. A representative of the Special Advisor to the President on Energy, Eriye Onoguruwa, disclosed these at the second Nigeria Electricity Supply Industry Stakeholders Meeting of the 2025 hosted by the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission. Onoguruwa said that the presidency recognizes the urgency of addressing the debt overhang, which has strained generation companies and impeded electricity supply nationwide. You can visit our website at www.dominion.org.nj to watch us live and interact with us. You can also follow us across our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and LinkedIn at Dominion Broadcast, and on X at Dominion Cast. And that was the Daybreak News. Thank you so much for watching. Good morning.
All right, welcome back. It's still Daybreak Live, reaching you from Dominion Television this Wednesday, 4th day in the month of June 2025. All right, it's now time to look at the headlines of our daily newspaper, the front pages, what it's saying. I'll be giving you the headlines here, and after we'll have an analyst help us to dissect different issues coming from our daily papers this morning. All right, I'll start with the Vanguard newspaper. Today, Wednesday, with the major story about the Niger flood. Says 1,249 communities in 30 states. FCT at risk, says a federal government. It has the riders. Says no water was released from Kainji, Jeba dams. Notes flood caused by heavy rainfall heightened by global warming as states take up federal government's challenge. All right, we have more stories reaching us, reaching from the Vanguard here. Chief of Army Staff Oluyede relocates to Benue with PSOS. With the rider, killer headers creating community of widows. Benue women cry out. You can find this story on page 9 and page 7 of the Vanguard newspaper. Anti-kidnapping protests, uneasy calm as soldiers, policemen take over Abraka. This you can find on page 12 of the Vanguard newspaper. Insecurity, Tinubu, Matawale should be commended for reinvigorating Navy. And this is coming from DME Saka, and you can find the story on page 10 of the Vanguard newspaper. On page 19 of the Vanguard newspaper, USSD charges telcos threaten to withdraw services over banks' misinformation. Okay. Also from the Vanguard newspaper, we have high flood risk states. Quite a lot of states there, about 30, including the FCT, that are high risk flood, that is high flood risk states. And also this story says federal government saves 12 million girls from cervical cancer in 9 months. And this news is coming from the First Lady, and you can find the story on page 9 of the Vanguard newspapers. Okay, moving from the Vanguard newspaper, we'll go to Daily Trust newspapers. And we have these major stories that's trending all over. No automatic tickets for National Assembly members, says APC. I mean, from the beginning of our program today, we informed you about this no automatic tickets for the National Assembly coming from the National Publicity Secretary of the APC, Felix Moka, who has debunked this story, saying he doesn't know where this story has come from. Okay, on Mokwa issue, bodies of 7 children recovered as search continues. And this story is on page, I can't see, I think page 10 or 19 of the Daily Trust. Army chief relocates to Benue as 270 killed in 2 months. Rivers State, Fubara visits Tinubu in Lagos. You can also find the story from the Daily Trust newspaper. Another story is coming from the Daily Trust newspaper. Arafat, Saudi warns pilgrims of heat wave. You find the story on page 12. And on page 20 of the Daily Trust newspapers, parents seek alternatives over prolonged FCT teacher strike. That's the Federal Capital Territory and prolonged teacher strike. Parents are seeking alternatives. And this you can find on page 20 of the Daily Trust newspapers. Another story there says, sand heap collapses, kill 11 Almajirai in Kaduna State. Really sad story there. Also from the Daily Trust, story about Tinubu and Matawale should be commended for reinvigorated Navy, coming from DME Saka. And you can find the story on page 14 of the Daily Trust newspapers. Okay, moving from the Daily Trust newspapers, we'll get to the Punch newspaper this morning with the same story of Tinubu and Matawale should be commended for reinvigorating the Navy, says Deyemi Saka. And it still talks about the flood alert. NEMA deploys teams in 15 high-risk states. You find the story on page 2, and it has the rider as agency warns of fresh heavy flooding. Federal government insists on evacuation. Niger recovers more corpses. Okay, you'll find the story on the Punch newspaper this morning. And from the Punch newspaper, we move to Daily Times. The Daily Times says here, the major story is Tinubu's 2-year achievements, proof of visionary leadership. And this is coming from the Information Minister, and you find the story on page 2. Tinubu's 2-year achievements, proof of visionary leadership. Okay. All right, more stories coming from Daily Times. It says, excuse me, withheld federal government allocations. Osun State drags federal government to Supreme Court. Withheld federal government allocations. Osun State drags federal government to Supreme Court. You find this on page 2 of the Daily Times. And federal civil servants to federal government, they say, settle 10 months arrears by June 30. Or, well, for more of that story, to know the or, you go to page 2. That's on page 2 of the Daily Times newspapers, where the federal civil servants are telling the federal government to settle 10-month arrears by June 30. 2 arrested in Anambra over attack on police and military operatives. You find the story on page 7 of the Daily Times. And another story there from page 16 of the Daily Times says, Nigeria's security and political economy. You find this on page 3 of the Daily Times newspaper. And I think that's all we can take from our different front pages of our different dailies this morning. And we'll be joined by Mr. Sam Woko. Will be joining us via phone call. We'll be doing justice. Mr. Sam Woko is a journalist, editor, and a public affairs analyst. So we'll be delving into the different stories making waves on our headlines now. Is Mr. Sam there? Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Sam. Good to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
All right, good morning. Okay, so I was starting today, we're talking about this, you know, the story about the automatic tickets that's making waves around news from yesterday. And the National Publicity Secretary of the APC, Felix Morka, has come to say, no, there was nothing like that, to debunk it and say he doesn't know where this story or news is coming from. So I'd like to hear what you think. Is this automatic tickets, is it a new thing? I mean, what's the story behind this?
On 2 grounds, you could see that the story is standing on 2 legs. The first one is that the story came out and said no automatic tickets for the lawmakers. And the second one is saying, no, we didn't say no automatic ticket for the lawmakers. And now there is a confusion. And the confusion is that regardless of how much the lawmakers may be cross-carpeting and defecting into the ruling party, it is not going to help anything. And what it means is that they have been used, they have been played, because we have known that for a very long time there is no particular way of pinpointing the sincerity of politicians, whichever political party they might be. That is on the one hand. On the other hand is that there are many power centers in the ruling party as we speak. It doesn't always reflect the the general thought in the parties, in the political parties.
Okay.
By that, I mean that the political parties themselves have one thing in mind, those who control the political parties, but the various power centers have another thing in mind. So when there is no consensus, there will be this kind of confusion. And what this confusion means is that between now and the next general election, there is going to be a lot of horse trading. And this horse trading will result in further defections or counter defections, because not all those who have defected into the APC now who thought they would get automatic tickets will get it. And there will be anger. And this anger will lead to a whole lot of political maneuverings which will characterize the next coming general election. So I'm just looking at it that the politicians are being typical politicians. It could be that somebody threw that story to test the waters to know if the party indeed is going to help them get automatic tickets, or that this decision has been taken already.
Because I'm wondering, sorry, Mr. Sam. Can you hear me?
Hello? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm wondering, I mean, haven't we been seeing automatic, ticketing to say, and I'm wondering what fueled this in particular, because, I mean, we've seen this happen a couple of times during elections, so I don't know, it doesn't look new to me or sound strange if they get automatic tickets.
It's actually not new. It's not new, it's not strange, but each political regime, each political cycle comes with its own idiosyncrasies, its own characteristics.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is that now that the issue of automatic tickets is floating this early, it means that either some people are pushing for it and are not getting it, or they have got it already, but they want to test the waters and hear the feelings of those who may be played out of getting the ticket. You know, there are some people who would have been promised that, okay, don't worry, it's your turn. There are local arrangements. I know of some areas in Oyo State which rotate the House of Reps ticket among the local governments in that House of Representatives. Those local governments, when you get there, you do one term, another local government will do another term, and so on and so forth until it comes back to you. If they promise you an automatic ticket now and you get it, then what happens to the slot of the other local government that is waiting in line? So those are some of the things they are testing the waters for, to know how this is going to pan out. And the party is going to have a lot of, I don't want to call it earthquakes. It's going to be like a whirlpool until they get themselves back on control.
Okay, so there's something we call publicity stunt. So I'm thinking, is this a political publicity stunt, so to say?
Exactly why I said they may be testing the water. They will float the story to see the reaction of the people. It's a political stunt. It's one of the ways to test how people are going to receive this news, and then they will be able to plan early enough on how to absorb the shock and how to maneuver the problems that will arise from it. So it's a political
publicity stunt.
Let me call it.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Okay, so let's look at the Niger flood. I mean, we've been talking about Niger flood for some days now, from last week, and 1,249 communities in 30 states and Federal Capital Territory at risk. I mean, there's a list here of over about 30 or more states at risk, in terms of flooding. And for the Niger flooding, they say no water was released from Kainji and Jeba dams. Flood was caused by heavy rainfalls and heightened by global warming as states take up federal government challenge. I'm looking at these states that are at high risk or high flood risk states. What can the federal government do? Is it that there's nothing that can be done so far, because they keep saying these are high flood risk states? So is there any way NEMA or can actually prevent this from happening so that we don't get people dying again, just like it happened in Niger State? What's your take on this?
The Niger State, that Mokwa incident is one very sad one.
Very.
It remains so. It remains a very stark commentary on our level of development as a country. And it is not because flood does not happen in other places. We see floods. We see floods in even places as pristinely developed as Japan. You know, the only difference is that the flood waters in Japan, when we saw some of the photographs, they are so clean that you won't even know that it was flood water. Whereas ours will come and claim numerous lives, including those of children and helpless people. Now, I know that NEMA gave warnings early this year. They also gave warnings last year. They also tried to sensitize people to the best of their ability, but the sensitization I didn't think was strong enough. When the NIMET, Nigeria Meteorological Service, gave their own weather forecast earlier in the year, one of the things I did in my own community is to post it on our community website. Somebody asked me why I was posting that, and even went as far as saying I was creating a panic. I said no, but that is a vital information for you to use as being necessary. Part of the problems we have in Nigeria is that people don't take these things serious sometimes. They will be like, okay, God will protect us, and they will leave it at the doorstep of the Almighty God. But leaving that which we should do as people to no one in particular. So in the end, you find out that this becomes a very big problem, not just for the affected community, but for all the other people around those places. What I think NEMA and perhaps the federal government can do is, they know the floodplain. They know the floodplains. They know those places where the water usually passes. We remember what happened in Lokoja. We remember what happened in even places like Ibadan here. But this is at the risk of sounding immodest. I want to give kudos to the governor of Oyo State here and Ibadan Urban Water Management Agency. I don't know, IUMSB or what do they call it. I saw that they did a lot of work to expand the waterways and so on, thereby reducing the floods. If you remember what happened in Nigeria. So being proactive is the only thing we can do. Don't listen to people. Don't give approvals to construction of houses on places where floods could pass through, floodplain. I always tell people, you can, if there is fire incident, you use water and other things to battle the fire. If there is an epidemic, you raise doctors who will do quick research, and there are vaccines for even some very deadly diseases and so on. But how do you tackle flood? If there is flood, what do you use in battling water? If water level rises, what do you do? You understand what I'm trying to say? You can battle fire, you can battle ailments, you can battle earthquake, building collapse, and so on. How do you battle flood? You know, so the best way is to give flood its right of way. The people should not build on floodplain. They should listen to what the government is saying at that level, and also listen to their heart. Because when you build near waterways, it becomes very difficult. And they've been talking about global warming, so this is one of the effects, and we are finding it very difficult to handle now. You know, so Mokwa is a very sorry case, and I wish this will not happen again in our country.
Thank you so much. Okay, we'll move over to another story here. It says, presidency to Afenifere, Tinubu's economic reforms, painful but necessary.
Well, it's interesting that it's Afenifere and Tinubu's government that are in this big bag. To a large extent, Afenifere spoke like people who are also affected, members of Afenifere are also affected by the policies of the government. But the government is speaking like government, saying, okay, these reforms are painful, but they are necessary. To leave it at the doorsteps of both of them, what we'll do is we wait for that time when we hope that both the people who are propagating the painful but necessary reforms and those who are already lamenting will come to a point where we will say, yes, there is joy, or as we usually say, there is light at the end of the tunnel. But as things stand today, Afenifere still speaks the minds of the people at the lower level, people like us who are feeling the pangs of these harsh economic policies. But government is saying, okay, I know you are saying the truth, but please, the economic reforms are painful, but you have to find a way to endure it because they are necessary. So we are in between two truths. We are in between two hard places. We can only endure till we begin to reap the fruits of these economic reforms. And we hope that the economic reforms will not have cleared the people off the ground before the results, before the fruits begin to manifest.
Well, I was going to also ask that, do we see, you know, what's it called, rays of sunshine, you know? They say weeping may last a night, but joy comes in the morning with this administration.
Well, yes, that's what the government is telling you. Weeping may last for a night, but joy comes in the morning. But the Afenifere is saying, look, before the joy comes, I hope we'll be alive to witness the arrival of
Exactly. Okay.
It's a bit awkward, yeah. Thank you.
It is. Thank you so much, Mr. Sam. All right, I'll look at now. The Chief of Army Staff has relocated to Benue State. That's Oluyede himself. As 270 have been killed in 2 months. And if you look at Benue women are crying out, saying killer heads are creating community of widows. You think we'll see a positive change in this communal or ethnic clashes or strife happening in Benue State with this relocation of the Chief of Army Staff? What's your take?
My take is that it has been long in coming, but he's going there. Does it mean that the orders he had been given before going there by himself, does it mean that the orders have not been effective? You know, that's one of the questions we need to look into. Why has he got to be there by himself? It is very necessary that he goes there and sees things for himself. But before now, what has been happening in Benue? The Benue reports had been with us for months now. You know, they have been under severe attacks for God knows when, how long. It's been so very long. Exactly. And sometimes they are very, very pathetic stories. There have been protests upon protests. People of that region had blocked various highways, prevented people from traveling through the, you know, to bring attention to the plight of the people there. And part of the reports we get from that place, those places, is that these attackers occupy their land. So why has there not been, concise and precise action against these people? Up till now, there is nothing one can point to. It is only tales of woe coming from there, and occasional reports of Air Force eliminating 200 bandits and so on and so forth, you know, or terrorists. But indeed, in actual fact, in action, in what the eyes can see, a lot more is happening in Benue beyond these incessant reports of killings. So the Chief of Army Staff moving to Benue should also, one of the things I think he should also do when he gets to Benue is to ask why his orders have not been properly kept. If he is going there to lead an onslaught against these terrorists, or if he's going there to ask questions of his men who are on ground, who have not been effective enough to bring these killings to a stop. I think that's one of the things he should do. What has been happening, find out by yourself and take decisive action, because this is not giving Nigeria a very good image.
Exactly. And I think there are some things that when they have to be done, then you have to really be on ground to see to it. But then, if you have good hands out there, why not? You don't have to be there at every point in time. All right, we'll go to this story finally for today. Thank you, Mr. Sam, for your patience. Rivers State, we're hearing that Fubara visits Tinubu in Lagos. You know, there were speculations that most likely Fubara might move to the APC, and he's still on suspension though. So is it, are we seeing something like moving to APC too, or defecting rather to APC? Or, I mean, it's just a visit as a suspended governor, maybe, you know, to speak with the president and see how he can be brought back to the state as the head of Rivers State. What's your take there?
My take is that the issue of Fubara has remained one of the, it's like it has usually and constantly stuck out like a sore thumb. We all know that it has been in the news for a very long time that Fubara might move to the All Progressives Congress. And at some point he spoke in such a way that was unexpected of the governor. He said, do you think I'm interested in coming back? You know, and things like that. So now that he has met the president, now that the masquerade has become human, we expect him to also move to the All Progressives Congress. You know, by the time they finish this convergence, this gathering for 2027, when 2027 comes and goes, I know very well that we are going to be hearing a lot of stories of behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes,
led to what we have today. Now, Fubara's own is not even as surprising as the things that I expected of him as an individual. Many of us who have been following the politics said that Fubara is the one who will give approvals as a sitting governor. Fubara is the one who is going to, as they say, give orders or give directives, and not somebody who has ceased to. So if Fubara is not in the APC, he may not give the directives that will give APC what it wants in that state. And what does APC want? It wants to claim that state. It wants to win that state. It wants to maintain its, what we call the leadership position, the frontline position in that state. So Fubara is a very important factor in that. And they have to find a way to play the politics of bringing Fubara close so that they can use him for what they want to use him for. But for now, we keep our fingers crossed, and all our speculations remain speculations until we see where the whole thing is going to.
Well, yes, we'll keep our fingers crossed indeed. Thank you so much, Mr. Sam Nwoko. Thank you. We really appreciate your time today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you.
All right, viewers, thank you. That's so much you can take. Mr. Sam Nwoko, journalist, editor, and public affairs analyst, has been on the show today, and you've heard a lot on analysis for this morning. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Thank you. You're still there with us. More to come. Big story is coming up shortly with Pat. But don't forget, it's still Daybreak Live, reaching you from Dominion Television.
All right, it's still Daybreak live on Dominion Television here in Ibadan. And of course, welcome to Big Story of the Day. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, said that National Examinations and West African Examination Council will switch to computer-based testing, that's CBT, beginning this year, November to be precise. And it went further to say by May and June 2026, all WAEC and NECO exams, including theory and essay papers, will be administered exclusively online. Joining us to talk about the adoption of CBT for NECO and WAEC is Mr. Sheung Uluwole, a public affairs analyst. A very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's program. Let's look at this. Are we ready?
Wow, good morning once again. Now, the idea of our SSC, the WAEC, and everything now going to CBT all over again, I think it is high time we need to sit down and really consider what we're actually doing right or wrong concerning our exams in Nigeria.
But the question I ask is, are we ready? I require yes or no answer.
I don't think we are ready for that.
You don't think?
We are not ready.
Okay, if Nigerians are not ready, are the examination bodies ready?
The examinations bodies can never be too ready. Considering the things on ground, there are some things we must put in place.
Like what?
That we must consider. Now, let's go back. Let's go to the rural areas. The number of secondary schools we have there. The number of school children we have there that want to sit for this teaming exam, teaming students that want to sit for the same exams. What are the technology that has been put in place for those people to be able to sit for those exams in the rural areas? Number one. Now, just 2 weeks ago or last week, we have an issue of students sitting late into the night to sit down for a particular paper.
And don't you think if it has been CBT all the way, that would have
If it has been CBT, it will be worse. It will be worse.
How?
Now, considering
and why?
Now, these people have to sit down late into the night with phones on, with candles on, trying to do some papers and everything. Now, what if it was the urban areas where we don't have electricity? We don't have rural electrification. What do you think will happen? What is the fate of the people there, of the students there? Will they be able to do it? We are talking about CBT. We are talking about computers, computer-based tests. In some secondary schools that doesn't even have roofs over their heads. So how do you want that to work out? It can never. That's what I'm saying. Our bodies, our examination bodies, can never be too ready. They are not ready. It's just a thing of the mouth.
Maybe from your own angle, you're actually looking at the time frame. Maybe if we have come to say, come 2027 or
Let's
28.
say 2030 or 2035.
2030.
Or 2035.
Is that what you're proposing?
That's what I'm proposing.
Well, let's try it now and see what will be the
Whatever
outcome.
it is we are trying now, it will just be a litmus test. It won't work out. Even JAMB that has been there, we still see people, we still see the idea of, the issue of glitches coming up. We put things in place and we don't put things to check it. Now you are talking about going CBT with WAEC, NECO. Go to Akufo, go to some other rural areas in the. What about the northern states, the northern parts of the country? What about the south?
Even if the centers are built, the CBT centers are built for them.
How many can be built all across the nation that will be enough for all the students? How many? We don't have enough JAMB CBT centers, talk less of WAEC. And the number of people taking JAMB is quite lesser to the number of people taking WAEC and NECO. By the time you finish your SSC, you might decide to go into something else without even go to the university or the polytechnic. Do you understand that? But right from GS1, you want to sit down for the WAEC. And the number of people sitting down for WAEC is more than the number of people sitting down for JAMB. So the numbers are different entirely. So it's going to be another Herculean task for our examination body to say that we want to now inculcate CBT into the WAEC system all over again. Now we are talking about Nigeria, and remember WAEC is West African. As the other countries decide to do the same thing, What if they do the same thing? Won't they leave us behind, or we will be before them or ahead of them? Do you understand what I'm saying now? So we need to, WAEC need to sit down, have a joint meeting with the remaining West African states, how it can be done. See, when you are talking about technology, it's just not that we think we can do this, let us put it in place. What are those things what are the infrastructures that are in place that will enhance the use of those things that we want to put in place that will make it work? You are talking about CBT in the rural areas.
Are you saying it's not feasible there?
It's not feasible. It's not. I don't see it coming there. I don't. To me, I don't. I've been at a particular place. That was, I can't remember this year now, at Akufo. Here in Ibadan. If you can see the hall, the students sat down to write a particular paper, WAEC, English to be precise. English to be precise. The walls are coming down in that particular locality, and the students there are sitting for WAEC. That's the place we want to take CBT to, where they don't even have electrification. So I don't see that feasible.
All right. Since the Minister of Education has spoken, what do you think? Don't you think we should just have, because a room is not built in a day, let's just have a look of what this will come out, as in the outcome of this, even if we go ahead, because the man said it's going to kickstart in November.
In November. Okay, maybe we are going to pinpoint out some.
Let's just picture it. What will happen?
Let's picture
what will happen.
Starting from the registration. I know that registration would have been going on right but now, or might have been done and dusted. Now, where are the centers that are going to be used? That's my own question now. Let's take some few schools here in Ibadan for that matter. For instance, let's say Ibadan Grammar School, St. Anne's, Yejide, Methodist. Are they ready? Where are the centers that those students are going to use? Those schools are going to use? How many computer sets or devices are we going to distribute all around Oyo State? Let's take Oyo State as a case study. How many are we going to distribute? Now, as distribution started, as financing and empowerment and logistics started for the acquirement, the acquisition of computers that are going to be used by schools, have they started? Have they been distributed? Have students been told this is what you are going to do? Are students being tutored that this is how you are going to do the exams come that day? What are the syllabuses that are in place that the students have been going through? Maybe are they being trained in handling of the mouse, the keyboard, the everything that you wanted to kickstart in October or November? I don't see that feasible. I'm still saying it. It's like I'm not married, and I'm telling you, my in-laws are dead. Do you understand how it feels when you are telling somebody, I want to invite you to the burial of my in-law, and he's not married? Where does the bride or the groom fell from? So in Yoruba they say, so all these students that you are now saying, it will kickstart it. What are those things, the logistics that have been put in place? Let's take Ibadan Grammar School for example. Even the computer labs that are there, I don't see any computers. Some are there. Those students, the students are there.
Schools are battling with how to have a laboratory.
Now we are saying CBT test, the computer-based test.
All right, let's look at it. What training? Okay, if it kickstarts, what training will be provided to invigilators and the technical staff?
Now you yourself, you are talking about, you are pinpointing some loopholes That's why I said it's not quite feasible for now.
But there might be training underground that is not well known to us.
See, when you are doing something and you want us to believe in whatever it is you are doing, you want to build that, you want to gain our trust. Tell us those things that have been put on ground, not just coming out to tell us, this is your idea, this is, I have a dream, sort of thing. When Martin Luther King came out to tell us, I have a dream, he implemented it. The 1 million man march at where he did it, he came out, people came out of different colors. And he came out to tell, I have a dream, where this and that. But now you are telling us, you want to, what are those things that have been put in place that you want us to trust you and follow you and suit concerning this dream of yours? Now, I know some registrations have been done concerning WAEC and NECO. Now, when they were doing the registration, were they told they were going to do CBT test? It was going to be a CBT kind of thing. Were they told? Were the students told? They were not even prepared for it. The ones that sat for JAM CBT, they've already graduated from secondary school, now going to CBT centers to take tests, to take coaching classes and everything.
They are fully aware.
They are fully aware of what they are going into. But these ones, are they ready? Do they know what they are going into? The invigilators, like you said, how many of them are prepared for this?
Or well trained.
Trained for them to handle this. To handle it, that, okay, let me see what you are doing there. This thing is not feasible. Maybe he should go back to his drawing board, call his people around him. I think what he has done is, he just thought, we can do this to make things better, and put down this policy, and we can. Some of those policies, how ready or how quickly are they to work?
So what should be, what is your timeline? What is a timeline for the full implementation?
Like time frame
for the CBT, for both NECO and WAEC?
It shouldn't even come up with this year. It shouldn't even come up with this year. Let's say starting from next year. Let them start getting aware. Then all the secondary schools. WAEC and NECO are done in secondary school centers, not CBT centers. Oh, they are done in those schools. How well equipped are those schools?
So that means there should be.
So there should be a drive throughout all the secondary schools in Nigeria. That's number one. Get them aware that this is the next step of examination concerning WAEC and NECO in their schools, for their students, for their wards. Let them be aware. Let parents be aware. Let the team in secondary schools in Nigeria be aware, from the federal government colleges to the state colleges and the private ones. Let them be aware. Now you are just coming out to tell us this. No, it's not just a thing you just come up with. I don't know why they think education has now come to a thing that anybody can just come out and say, oh, this is what we are going to do next. This is what. That is why we keep dwindling in education. Academics in Nigeria keep dwindling. If we keep on with this, we keep on bringing up policies concerning, and it is not well implemented. We are not going to do. I don't think education, at the end of everything that has been laid down, that has been worked for, will just go to shambles. It should start the drive by next year, starting with the schools, the proprietors of all those schools. Every ministry of education in every state, let them be. Now you are telling us from the federal level, what about the state level? The Ministry of Education of the state levels, at the state levels, the Commission of Education, have you sat down with them to tell them about this, to have a meeting, a closed-door meeting, and all the proprietors and everything? What have you done towards that? Have you done that first, in the first place? But you just came on here and tell us, oh, this is what you intend to do.
But there was a meeting that was held in Abuja where we have.
How many people attended? Who are the stakeholders? The major stakeholders, the major players. You can't just come up with some bureaucrats and some technocrats and sitting down with them.
We have the registrar for the WAEC. For that's WAEC. Amos Dango.
Is it the one that will go through all the secondary schools in Nigeria to make sure that they are well equipped? I'm talking about getting them equipped, not just telling us this is what. There are so many kids out there that they don't even have TVs at home.
Not even Android phone from the
Yes.
parents.
And you are telling them they are going to go on computer-based test for their WAEC. People from every Tom, Dick, every walks of life going to sit for a WAEC. Mothers going to markets, to farms and everything to gather money for WAEC, and then they put it on their kids, and you tell them and you tell the kids to sit down in front of a computer that he has never seen a TV before. And just think is just a wish thing, wishful thinking. Let's do this now. And I don't know what to say.
Well, some people are saying that the minister is actually calling from increase in out-of-school children concerning this this
WAEC,
this adoption.
See, whether you take people out of the school, out of the streets or everything, even if you are trying to take them out of school children to inculcate them, to impel them into the system and everything, they still need the knowledge.
I mean, some of them, there might be increase of out-of-school children, because if you cannot afford or if you cannot practice this,
definitely,
that means you will just have to stay back.
Definitely. That's why I keep on going back to the idea of rural areas. We are not looking out for them. He is not looking out for them. We are talking about, maybe he's actually talking about schools like the one at Jebujesha.
Okay.
Those kind of schools and everything. Maybe you are talking about the life words and everything. You are not actually talking about Igbo Ilerin, the likes of Igbo Ilerin Grammar School.
I mean, you mean the government's own secondary school?
Yes. In the rural areas. You are not even thinking about them. And when the people attending those schools, when students attending those schools come in to hear about these things, and it's computer care. And you know the mindset of I don't want to even waste my daddy's money or my papa's money or grandpa's money that has been going to the farm money. Grandpa will follow you to the farm. Drop out. Definitely it will increase. Even before the advent, before now talking about this, before the advent of this that we are talking about now, we've seen a lot of dropouts. By GS3, after the GS3 exam, a lot of dropouts, yes or no. We've had that consistently, constantly coming up. Now we are having this now. That is now going to be like an Herculean task to all these students now, to all these words, that what is this again? The ones I'm even reading self is not even enough to put me through. I'm not even getting enough. Now you are telling me to go on this. What is this that I've not even seen before? Is it not better for me to stay back rather than wasting my parents' money going into another area? Let me go into shoemaking. Let me go into maybe. That is what is going to happen. That is what is going to eventually happen at the end of the day. We are going to have a lot of dropouts. We are going to have a lot of people that will be disenfranchised from doing this thing at the end of the day.
Well, if eventually we adopt the CBT into NECO and WAEC, how would the effectiveness of CBT exam be evaluated, and what metrics should be used?
I think the reason I'm still having an issue over this thing is because the whole of WAEC itself is not actually talking about this thing. It's not WAEC.
But they were at the virtual meeting.
But it's a virtual meeting. Now, it has to be introduced to the remaining West African states. Has it been fully adopted or implemented? Has it been fully subscribed to by the remaining countries? The Nigerian Minister of Education is talking about this now. Not even putting to mind that there are some mitigating factors. There are some factors that will mitigate against this.
Maybe you might have looked into that and have some reasons to solve them before coming out to say that.
Okay, maybe. I would like to accept that, but I don't. But what I would, well, it's up there. It's in Abuja, So I don't, maybe I start with the presidency, with the president and everybody that, okay, before we start, we must have complete, a very well, like a 100% power supply to all the secondary schools, that whenever they are going to sit for these exams, electricity must be there, number one. You must have electricity, and talking about all the other materials that will be needed. Even our voting process here in Nigeria is still botched. Talk less of an exam. What I think can be done is we should have a unified center. We should come up with, but it's going to take us time. It can be done. Let's take Oyo State for instance. 33 local governments.
CBT examination for WAEC and NECO can be done. Okay.
33 local governments, but it won't be in a day. It might be in a month.
That's why I said earlier that a room is not built in a day.
But it's going to cost us much. It's going to cost us a lot. Even the parents and the wards. It's going to tell. It's going to tell. You are not.
Let's analyze it. Let's analyze it.
Okay. If we are not looking at empowering all these schools and letting them have their own computer centers for them to sit
we're
for
talking
the
about the 33 local governments in
now,
Oyo State now.
Let us now build at least one CBT centers for WAEC and NECO.
With a capacity of?
That's what I'm talking about. The capacity of how many students
or candidates.
Or candidates that will be registered for it. Can the exams, 9 papers or 9 subjects, can it be done for one student in a week? And we have over 1,000 students or 500 students in a school, or let's say 300 students from one school at one CBT center. That's one school. Alone in Ibadan, how many secondary schools do we have? It should be more than 200.
That means we should have the data.
We should have the data. It will be more than 500 or 200 secondary schools. Now, take a look at the numbers. If he's talking about starting up this year, some schools are not ready. If you say you are ready, then that means you are coming up with a particular center to house all these people in Oyo State. That's Oyo State alone. And we are still talking about Ibadan. We have 33 local governments. Now let's go to some other states. How do you want to accommodate them too? And we are not only talking about WAEC, NECO, maybe November, December, or May, June. We are talking about almost 3 types of exams. I still don't see it happening.
So soon.
So soon. I don't see it happening so soon. So, what you should have, the language you should have used is a projected form of idea, type of idea or idea of examination, setting of examination for WAEC in the nearest future, not now. You're not telling us this year. No.
But you're trying to give an analysis of how
the analysis can be done. If we can do it that way, it's still going to, it will still work. If we do it that way, it won't work. That's what I'm trying to say. That even if we decide to do it this way, it won't work. Now, let's decentralize it. How many WAEC CBT centers can we have from now till then that we accommodate all these people all over the country? How many? So having this thing done this year is totally out of it. It's completely out of it. I don't see it happening this year, not even next year too. Because the major stakeholders, you said there was a meeting at Abuja where they have a virtual meeting with some people and some people. The real people that will be key players in the scheme of things when this exam starts, they are not there with you. You are not talking to them. the vigilators, the proprietors. You are not talking to them yet, and yet you are talking behind them. This is something they will be guardians of, and they are not the ones you are talking to. You are talking to people that you want them to invest in it. But the people that will play out, that will be guardians to this thing, they are not there with you. You are not analyzing to them what will be their role and what are the logistics that will be put on ground for them, the training and the technicality know-how that will be put on ground for them to be able to handle situations that will arise from any issue concerning this situation, from this exam, if there is any situation that arises at the end of the day. Now we have the idea of the one that passed with JAMB. There's a particular glitch somewhere. They have to look into it. People will be, okay, we have to call them back. If the same thing happens at WAEC, how many students are we going to call back? How many of them? People that travel, okay, if they did not do it, if you can't sit for it in Osogbo or in Ede, will you be called back to go and sit for it in Osogbo? If you can't do it in Shaki, will you be called back to come and sit for it in Ibadan? After how many days of trying? Or after how much has been spent on accommodation in Ibadan? If you can't sit for it in Shaki?
All right, let's quickly look at this. There are lots of mixed reactions, and from there, some people say like the CBT for WAEC and NECO will curb this malpractice that we always witness. Would you agree with that?
If we put it in place, if it is rightly put in place, definitely it might curb it. Even with JAMB, we still have special centers, don't we? In CBT centers, we still have special centers. So what do you think will stop, or what will stop any private secondary school from being a special center for kids?
So you're saying it cannot
the same
eliminate...
Thing, that doesn't mean putting CBT into WAEC will actually stem malpractices in WAEC. It won't 100% stem it.
All right, before I let you go this morning, let's look at it. What should government do at this point? Because there are lots of mixed reactions concerning this. Are we ready? Some were saying that, oh, this will eliminate malpractices in that exam. I mean, both NECO and WAEC. And you coming to say that you're not seeing it visible this year.
You said mixed reactions. That means, like I said in the first place, the Minister of Education has not actually told us things that will give us, that will make us trust this process that is coming up with. That is why we have mixed reactions. If we are all saying, wow, that is good, but having mixed reactions means you are still not talking to the right system.
It's not going through the right channel.
To some people still don't see it feasible. They don't think we are ripe for it yet, or what is it talking about? Is that possible? Can we do that? Can we actually make it work 100%? No, that can be. So you have mixed reactions. Definitely you have it. Now, what I think we can do right now is for the Minister of Education to go down to the downstream of education and liaise with the stakeholders and the major players there. The proprietors, the schools, the principals, and everybody. Let's have it's not going to be a day meeting. It will be an ongoing process. It will be a going one, whereby you meet from time to time to update. Okay, these are all these now. If how many secondaries are even financially buoyant to start building up a computer lab?
You mean secondary school?
Yes. How many of them? No, the private ones are part. The second, the government ones. Government-owned ones. How many state governments are going to actually create another funding to go into their Ministry of Education for this particular project? That's another area we need to look into. So that means state governments now need to create another pause for that, for schools now to be empowered or not to be equipped for these things. So this idea of we going all engines busting on CBT for WAEC and NECO is, I think, is going to slow, even if we are talking about it and we say we want to implement it this year. It will even slow down the timetable of academics in the secondary school sector. It will even do it. It might even affect it negatively.
Slow down the academics?
It might even affect it, yes.
How?
Yes, because some schools are not ready. And the ones that are not ready, we need to take their students to the ones that are ready. And now we are having a much larger crowd to deal with. Over time, you see schools say, we can, okay, you know some students we want to retake, definitely. Some that failed. I like me, for instance, I didn't make my own work at the first shot, so I have to do it all over again. Now, some students, I didn't want to go back to my school to do it, so I have to go to another school. Right. So will they be ready to take me? With those ones will be ready to take another student from another place when the ones they have are not even well equipped to take.
All right, because of our time, in nutshell, what would you tell the government? I mean, both federal and state concerning this.
I think there is no synergy between them yet concerning this issue. So the Minister of Education needs to call the Commissioners of Education of every state to really sit them down, tell them about this thing, his vision, carry them along. The major stakeholders that will be the guidance of this thing, carry them along. You are talking to stakeholders, the bureaucrats and everything over there, up there. But the people there, the down ones,
that will bear the brunt.
That will bear it. You are not talking to them. You are not talking to them. You are just coming up with a memo that will come to them, to their table. This is what we are going to do. This is what we are going to start. So start working on it. How do you want me to do that? So the ones that you need, so what I think they need to do is they should come together, talk deeply about this thing, how it can be implemented.
And we'll have a good result.
And that is it.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Oluwaseun Oluwole, a public affairs analyst. He has been talking to us concerning the adoption of CBT into our WAEC and NECO examinations. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me.
Well, that's a wrap. Big story today on the segment, the segment Big Story on the program Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. Up next is Daybreak Sports. To join us again.
Good morning to you. Many thanks for joining us on Daybreak Sport this lovely Wednesday morning. My name is Boluwaji Ogumal. Let's kickstart from Abeokuta this morning, where yesterday the Super Falcons of Nigeria sailed over Cameroon's indomitable Lionesses in a friendly encounter at the MKO Abiola Sports Complex in Abeokuta. captain of the Falcons last night, Rasheedat Ajibade, scored both goals. First in the 28th minute of the game, and of course, and that was from a penalty spot, and then in the 43rd minute of the game, capitalizing on a swift team move that was assisted by Arinsola Babajide. Coach of the side, Justin Madugu, said the victory is a good psychological booster for his squad as they continue preparations for the 13th edition of the Women's Africa Cup of Nations, taking place in Morocco from the 5th of July to the 26th of July. Nigeria will be aiming for a 10th triumph in the competition, having won the trophy 9 times since it was launched as a tournament in 1998. And of course, we trust the girls that they will go to Morocco and of course do us pretty proud. We're still talking female football this morning. From the senior ladies, let's talk about the under-17 girls, where Nigeria's Flamingos will know their group opponents at the 2025 FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup today. The draw ceremony will be held in Rabat, Morocco. 24 teams will take part in this year's edition of the competition, and that will be the first time since its inception that will be having an expanded team. The Flamingos have been placed in Pot 1 alongside host Morocco, that happens to be one of Africa's 5 flag bearers, Spain, Japan, North Korea, who are the cup holders, and of course, United States of America. Nigeria will be making her 8th appearance at the biennial competition. The coach is Bankole Oluokere, and of course, took part in the women's football event at the 2024 National Sport Festival as part of the preparation for the competition, which means the girls are well prepared, having taken part in the recently concluded National Sport Festival. From there, let's talk about the men. The Super Eagles this morning, where all 20 invited players are now in the Super Eagles camp in Moscow, Russia, ahead of the international friendly against the Russian national team. 18 players, you recall, breezed into the team's camp on Monday. They were joined yesterday by 2 other players, that's Olakunle Olusegun and Bruno Onyemaechi. However, Bruno Onyemaechi missed the team's first training session due to his late arrival. Head coach of the Super Eagles, Eric Schell, was actually forced to reshuffle his squad for the friendly game due to withdrawals and injuries. And the Super Eagles are expected to continue the preparations on Wednesday today. They will take on the Russian national team at the iconic Luzhniki Stadium in Moscow later on Friday. I would definitely wish our boys all the best. Now, still talking about the Super Eagles this morning, a lot has been said about the absence of Victor Osimhen. Now, the head coach, Eric Schell, has claimed that Victor Osimhen, Super Eagles' #1 striker, was not invited for the Unity Cup and the friendly match against Russia because he needs time to sort out his club future. Victor Osimhen is Nigeria's first choice striker, and of course, he has scored 26 international goals in 41 appearances for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. However, despite an impressive loan spell with Galatasaray in the Turkish league, the 26-year-old was left out of Eric Schell's squad for the recent games. The Turkish season was still on during the Unity Cup, but several fans expected Osimhen to be invited for the Russian game holding this Friday. However, Eric Schell has revealed that he excused Osimhen due to his complicated transfer situation. Well, we just hope and wish that Victor will sort the entire complications as soon as possible and, of course, have him back with the Super Eagles. Still talking about transfer this morning, Jadon Sancho has spoken for the first time since Chelsea refused to make his loan deal permanent. And, of course, he's been sent back to Manchester United. Sancho's season-long loan to the Red Devils included an obligation to make the switch permanent for a fee that could rise to £25 million. However, negotiations between the club and the player over personal terms were not successful, so Chelsea had to send him back, and they will have to pay £5 million penalty to Manchester United. Sancho enjoyed sporadic success at Stamford Bridge and also scored in Chelsea's final game, and that was the Conference League final played last week. And of course, he got on social media to drop this particular quote on your screen: "Grateful for the experience. Big love to everyone at Chelsea Football Club who made me feel at home. Teammates, staff and fans, wishing the club all the best moving forward. Truly grateful. Thank you, Blues. And that was Sancho speaking there. And let's talk about this man on your screen. His name is Bruno Fernandes. Well, he has confirmed that he will remain at Manchester United. He is the Manchester United captain. And of course, he has spoken about rejecting a big money transfer to Saudi Arabia. According to Fernandes, he spoke with his manager, Ruben Amorim, and of course his wife, before taking the final decision to dump the deal from Saudi Arabia. Al Hilal reportedly offered Fernandes almost triple of his current £250,000 a week wages. And of course, the Saudi Pro League were also prepared to pay Manchester United £100 million to sign the Portugal midfielder. But Fernandes, speaking yesterday at a press conference, confirmed and admitted that he had conversation about a possible move to the Middle East. But the 30-year-old had snubbed that move, as he did not think that a move to Saudi Arabia at this time of his career is the right move for him. The Manchester United fan, you still have your captain at Old Trafford, at least for the next couple of seasons. Let's talk about another man who is moving this summer. Luka Modric, we understand, is set to join Syria giants AC Milan this summer transfer window. According to reports, Luka Modric will sign his contract as a new AC Milan player tomorrow. AC Milan are now confident of finalizing the midfielder's deal in the next 24 hours. Recall that Luka Modric played his last La Liga game for Real Madrid last month, and that was against Real Sociedad. The former Tottenham Hotspur player was unable to reach a contract extension deal with Real Madrid, and of course, he's been allowed to go. He will leave Real Madrid officially after the 2026 FIFA Club World Cup, starting later this month. We wish Luka Modric all the very best. Enjoyed lots of success at the club, and of course, we hope that he will take that success to AC Milan. We're talking about AC Milan this morning. Simone Inzaghi yesterday officially left his position as Inter Milan manager. This comes days after they were hammered 5-0 by Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League final. He is now expected to move to Al Hilal in the Saudi Pro League as their new manager. Al Hilal, I believe, to have reportedly offered Inzaghi over €20 million per season to join them. Inzaghi led Inter Milan to the Serie A title last year, not the recent concluded season, but last year. And of course, he was also in charge when Inter Milan lost the 2023 Champions League final to Manchester City. It is unclear now who will manage Inter Milan at the FIFA Club World Cup, because they are taking part in the FIFA Club World Cup starting in the next couple of weeks. Well, Nerazzurri, they have a game against Monterrey on the 17th of June before they take on Real Madrid a few days after. Of course, we keep our fingers crossed and continue to update you as far as who will coach the team at the FIFA Club World Cup. From there, let's talk tennis and talk about the second Grand Slam of the year, the French Open, where defending French Open champion Carlos Alcaraz produced a dominant display to defeat Tommy Paul and reach the semi-finals at Roland Garros. Just like you saw it on your screen, was a 3-straight set victory for him: 6-love, 6-1, and of course 6-4. The Spaniard will now face 23-year-old Lorenzo Musetti, who also defeated Francis Tiafoe yesterday, 6-2, 4-6, 7-5, 6-2 to make it to the semi-finals yesterday. And let's take a look at the semi-final pairings on our screen. Yes, you have it. Carlos Alcaraz versus Musetti will go head-to-head tomorrow in the semi-finals. Let's talk about the ladies this morning. There you have it on your screen. It was a straight set victory for Aryna Sabalenka yesterday as well over Zheng of China. 7-6, 6-3, the game ended. And of course, Sabalenka will now take on Iga Swiatek, who also won her game yesterday against Elina Svitolina. It was a 2-set victory for him, 6-1, 7-5, to ensure that we'll be having a Sabalenka versus Swiatek semi-final later on tomorrow. Well, that's it as far as that is concerned. But of course, finally, on the show this morning, let's go straight to the NBA. Yes, where the New York Knicks on Tuesday parted ways with their head coach, Tom Thibodeau, following their exit from the playoff. The Knicks lost 125 to 108 points to the Indiana Pacers on Saturday night and were eliminated from the Eastern Conference Finals in Game 6. Thibodeau, who joined New York Knicks in July 2020 and was given a 3-year contract extension last summer, has made the playoffs in 4 of his last 5 seasons with the team. Well, that's sports this morning on Daybreak Sports. Thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow morning.
All right, welcome back from that Daybreak Sports. You're still very much on to Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. We head straight to Trend Watch, and today we'll begin with a story. Simi is talking that people call my daughter Duduke, which I don't like. That's not her name, saying her Simi. Duduke.
Duduke me, Duduke.
Well, that's because she sang that song when she was pregnant with that child.
Or, well, whether she did she sing it? Sorry, was it released after she gave birth? I can't remember.
No, before, because she was pregnant that time.
And the shoot, you know, they could do something and now release it after, just like we do photo shoots now.
I think there's one boy like that, one young a baby like that. Whenever she is crying, I would just say, Duduke, and the boy will just keep quiet.
Oh, you do it. I see. You know, at some point, once you there are people that I've seen when they sing, say they always do this. There's one woman I know in my area, Salon. Once she hears the song, she'll be rubbing her tummy. She's not pregnant too. So I was not like.
So if Simi is coming to say, "Oh, I don't like people call my baby Duduke," don't remember one thing: you gave birth to her, or perhaps you did a shooting video of that song.
So if you stick like that to call her Duduke,
when you have that baby's pregnancy, so you need to.
You want her to agree? She says she doesn't want it. She doesn't want it. She might have her reasons. Meanwhile, Pat, what's the meaning of Duduke?
Duduke, like you are rocking your baby.
Just like you're rocking. Does it have any particular meaning? Huh?
How am I supposed to know? But me, I see it like it's a way of you rocking your baby to sleep. There's a spirit of you rocking your baby to sleep that is connected to that song.
But she says she doesn't like it.
Why is she now coming to say that? Maybe she just hearing it for the first time. Maybe because somebody called.
Okay, so we have comments there. You want to take
First one, Motsu of Lagos saying, if I see that girl, the first thing that comes to my mind is that song. Whoa, that's Duduke me, Duduke. All
right, we have another comment from I Am Tifa. I Am Tifa 12 says, when I saw her picture on her birthday, I said, wow, our Duduke is growing fast. And I know say you not like it.
So now you call her by her name, not Duduke. Yeah.
And not Duduke.
So away from that, we have this one coming from our actress Biola Bayo saying we have been separated since April last year, and people don't really know about this. And she comes to say, happy birthday to my ex-husband and my baby daddy. I pray that grace will abound upon you. I pray you find peace in all your ways. May God continue to light your paths and blah, 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 like that.
And bless you beyond your expectations in Jesus' name. And then she goes on to say, yes, you heard her right. She has been separated from her husband since April. So this is about 14 months really now. and people never knew. So that's to tell you what you want people to know, that's what you put out there. And she has been doing interviews, and she says that, you know, why she makes people's home, you know, people happy and the rest, she drenches her pillow
with tears.
Tears for the past, at night anyway, for the past 14 months. It couldn't work, and she says she wanted to stay alive at least to tell the story. You never know what people go through, so you don't judge. Even with this, you hear a lot of people still talking, so you don't have a husband, you're coming to do this. I mean, just a few minutes ago, I actually saw a post from Portable saying, so you don't have a husband, oh, sorry, you are not in a husband's house, but you're interviewing wives or something. I'm like, what is that? We judge too much in this country.
You just stigmatize things unnecessarily. Well, there's a comment here. Watermelon Sugar saying that my fellow beautiful ladies and handsome men, don't let the internet ruin your perception. Your own marriage will work.
Like Simply Bab says, Omo, the birthday wish would have been separated from the announcement, but who am I to tell a woman how to express her pain? It is well. May God comfort you. So do you really think anything was wrong with wishing her
well, to some
ex-husband, and then also putting the story
for
of
the fact that they have a baby boy? They have a baby boy. There's nothing in this world will make two of them go the separate ways, because they will still have something to do together. So if the boy is not there, they can just say, well, let him just go, let her just
people
go.
are saying, oh, should have just maybe wished happy birthday and left the story. But I mean, that's how she wants her own. She wants to put it happy birthday there.
So that tomorrow you will not see and tell her, Mrs. Akirim Ade or Rimade or something. I was like, I'm not more doing that with the man now.
It's her way. Let it be. Everybody has their way of expressing themselves.
All right, the last story here. I will choose 5.0 CGPA over 5 bitcoins worth over 800 million. Ex-personality Daniel Raga is talking there. He has his own reasons for doing that. So
that's talking about the cumulative grade point average for school. I'd rather take that to 5 bitcoins worth over 800 million. Okay. Well, what would you take?
I'll think about it. Well, we have a comment here.
We have comments.
Adelakun Faye say he knows the exact things to say to Trent. Sure. Why the sure now?
Sure. All right. Vivian of Grace says even person will get first class go pick that Bitcoin where you did downgrade. Okay. The last comment here says, how many Nigerian billionaires have 5.0 CGPA? So, question. Answer for yourself. How many Nigerian politicians or billionaires?
Well, I don't know about it, but he is asking a question.
That's what I'm saying, billionaires have 5.0.
Maybe Mr. Michael will help us out, or Shitu or Toby.
There's something with you and Michael and Shitu and Toby. If you don't mention their name, your body is not complete in
They
Daybreak.
have the reasons behind all this that we're
there are other people who are reasons behind
and we say
too.
Thank you to all of them, but at least they are the one we are saying right now here.
Okay.
All right, this is a convenient time for us to say our BYA on today's episode of Daybreak Live on Dominion Television. Thank you so much for being part of us. I am Pat Aita saying, have a good Wednesday.
All right, I'm Abby Dickinson. God bless Nigeria. See you tomorrow.
Someone told me that the last